So the number one reason why mortgage brokers suck at social media is they're not taking their hooks seriously. So what I mean by that is one of the biggest factors as to whether your video is going to perform well is how you structure your hooks. So I've talked about it before. We've got your visual hook, we've got your written hook, and we've also got your verbal hook. So what you're saying. And the difference between the three is obviously the verbal is what I'm saying to you as the person watching my video. You've got your written text hook, which is this right here, those words right there on the screen, and then we've got your visual hook, which could be maybe I've got my coffee and I'm taking a sip or something, or I'm placing it down on the table as I'm talking. That's a visual hook because I'm kind of doing something in the background. You've probably seen other creators, like female creators, doing their makeup while they're talking. That's a visual hook. And surprisingly, those things work well. So I don't have huge visual hooks in my videos. Just from a process perspective, it's a lot easier for me to set up my camera and hit record and just do it in the studio version. Now, with that being said, if I wanted to go all out, I would probably find some sort of visual hook that I can play with. But in terms of what I'm seeing brokers miss the mark on is when they start off their videos, the first thing I see a lot of people do is there's dead space between the time it starts and when they say their first word. This dead space can be as little as like 3 milliseconds, which sounds very minor, but it makes a huge difference. So if you can imagine scrolling through Reels or on TikTok, wherever you're on social media, you're scrolling pretty quick through the videos. Like you make a split second decision as to whether you're going to stick around and watch that video. So if you have dead space before you start talking, that person is likely going to swipe to the next video. So that's the first thing. The second thing is where you're actually structuring your where you're structuring your captions and your written text on the video itself. So you don't want anything being covered by your display name and the actual caption of the video. So I can't show it here on the browser, but when you're on your mobile phone, you'll have this area here. You can pull up your phone right now and check it. Go to your Reels section and you'll see that down here will be my name and this caption here. So I see a lot of brokers, they're putting their actual captions, like the video captions as it's playing. They're placing it down here, which is being covered by this stuff here. So again, it's hard to imagine because I'm on the browser here, but please just place your captions in a place that's not in front of your face, but it's also not being covered by anything. The second thing is one of our agents, I was with our team last night and we are going through some of our team's videos, and I was kind of just breaking it down and giving some critique. And one of our agents had, they were putting their written text like way, way up here. That's fine if you have it above your head. There's nothing saying that you can't have your written text hook there, but he had it way up here and it was also being covered as well and cut off. So simple things like that will make a huge difference on how your video performs. So that's really the biggest things I see. And when it comes to the hook, like let's get right to it. Let's not beat around the bush and introduce yourself in the video. You want to get to the point because people are there. Their attention span is very limited. So you want to be direct. And in terms of the written text hook, you want to make sure this is around 6 words or less. So of course, you're going to have some videos that still perform well if you've got more than 6 words, but the general rule of thumb that's worked very, very well for me is I try to keep the written text hook as little as possible. So if it means 2 or 3 words, absolutely. And the reason being is because when someone's watching a video, there's a lot of things going on. You're talking, so they're trying to hear what you're saying. They're trying to read the written text hook, and they're also watching it for the visual hook. So you want to make it as dumbed down and easy as possible for these people to understand what the video is going on about. So keep that short and concise. And what else? The written text itself, you can play around with 2 different options. I typically have the written text show up for the first 3 to 5 seconds, depending on how long the written text hook is. If it's a longer written text hook, then I'll have it placed there for a bit longer. You do have the option of keeping that written text hook there for the entirety of the video. I do see some creators do that as well. Play around with it. Just make sure that it's not in the way of your captions going forward throughout the rest of the video. And for me, I like to have it disappear because as you can see with my style of videos, I do a lot of list videos. So obviously you don't want your written text hook placed here while I go through the list. Another side note too is I'm just kind of riffing right now, but whenever I do have a list, typically what I'll do is I'll start from the highest number and go lower. So for example, I'll start from, in this case, I have top three accounts. I'll start from 3, 2, 1. And the reason why I do that is because psychologically, people think that the number one is like the best account. Even though I'm not saying that, they want to stick around to see, oh, like what's number one. So that's just kind of like a cool little trick that you can do there. And that's pretty much it. Like I know I started with hooks and we kind of dove into more of like the general layout of how you should place your written text hooks and the captions. But this is just me just kind of riffing off the top of my head. If this is helpful, let me know. I'm always open to feedback. And again, if you're hearing this and seeing this through the newsletter, just let me know if you have any questions about anything specific to social or AI or automations, systems, and we can answer that on the next newsletter. Cheers.